you guys, this is Orsi and this is going to be my response to the hashtag 54321, which was started by Kelly Bear, but I've seen Tony, I think Giselle, and a bunch of other Don Michelle, but I haven't watched Don Michelle's video, so I can't say that I watched it, but I already have it saved on my watch list. I've seen people participating in it, and it's a really cool hashtag because, you know, we like to play with our collection. But it's not just about tarot, it's about books and things that are connected to tarot. So let's start. I will have a problem with the spreads part because I only thought about one and I still need to do two. So I might need to take a little break while filming this, which you don't care about, but anyway. So 5 decks. So I was thinking about, you know, which 5 deck to pull out. I sold a bunch of decks, so my collection is a lot smaller. It's still not small, but it's more refined in a way. You know, it's more acquired to my taste, which makes it a lot harder to pick out decks for some reason. But I was thinking that, you know what, I'm just gonna go with something easy in a way, and I pulled out 5 decks that I think they are cool for some reason. In no particular order. One of them is the True Black holographic edition, which I'm very, very happy that I got. It's the 5th anniversary limited edition, and mine is 500, which is so cool. I mean, I love this number. I'm so happy I got it. And I already love this deck. I have the original one, and I do love it. But the holographic, it just makes it so much prettier. And not just prettier, it makes it different. I talked about it in my video where I, you know, compared the two, that because of the highlights are much more visible, because of the holographic foiling, the black, you know, it was in the background. The holographic stands out more. It does feel different in certain ways. But look at that. Oh, it's such a beautiful deck. I absolutely love it. So yes, I do think that this is such a cool deck, and one of the reasons, like I said, why I find this one cool is because I got the 500, the number. It's just cool. It could have been like a random, like, I don't even know what number, but I managed to get a really cool one, so it makes it even cooler. So that's the True Black holographic edition. Then, surprise, surprise, it's the Smoke, Ash and Embers. And if I talk about cool decks, I mean, obviously dragons. But the coolness of it is not just because dragons, and these are my dragons, but it's really cool because it feels like the black ones, especially, that they came from my head. You know, if I didn't get this deck, I would have struggled all my life to have a dragon deck that felt like was filled with my kind of dragons. But now I don't have to struggle at all. I have a deck which I have tiny, beautiful, really, really cool and cute and powerful dragons that I imagine dragons look like. Okay, not all of them, because the cups dragons are kind of like okay. but the rest is just perfection. So look at that. I'm just so pleased. I'm so pleased with this one, and it's so cool to find a deck that feels like it's coming from your own imagination in a way. So this definitely deserves a place on the cool decks top list, or just, you know, like category or whatever I want to call it. The next one is the deck that I created, and you could be like, oh cool, you're like self-promoting, but it's not that, just that. But what I find cool is that I managed to find digital brush sets that feels like painting with watercolor, which I never thought, because I was, you know, like playing around with watercolor, because that's my chosen medium, if I can say that. I'm not a painter or not an artist in that sense, but I love just playing around with paint. And this digital brush set was so much fun to use because it actually felt like I was painting with watercolor. And I find it cool that this is such a classical deck, and you can still find ways, like, because I find a way to just play with it, to create something new, or like not new, but like something different out of it, and make it my own, like personalized in a way that I really like the original artwork now, because I wasn't connecting to the card colors that much, but now that I can, like, I was able to place like red where I wanted that passion, and like just colors in and like the gold accent in certain parts. When I wanted to do that, when I was able to do and put focus on things that this one was one of my favorite cards to make, and one of the first one that I did. It just makes the whole experience reading with the tarot much more cooler, because I created these designs, obviously not the drawing part, but the colors and where the accent went, and I spent so much time removing things from the card that took much longer than people might realize. Yeah, I think the Tower was the first card, which is quite interesting if you think about it. But yeah, I just love, and I do think that, but I hope that if people see that, hey, I was able to do this, then they can be like, I might be able to do it as well. So I like the cool effect of inspiring each other when we create a deck, because I think that's just wonderful, because I'm no special person, and yet I was able to create a deck. So if you're thinking about creating one, you can do it too. Next one is, this was a gift from a friend. This is just the major arcana, but this is the smallest tarot of the world, which I think is already really cool. Just like, look at it. Isn't it fun? I could read with it if I want to. Ow! We got... Oh... This is the Magician, right? Yeah. Should be. Or is it the Fool? I don't speak Italian, so I have no idea. Il Papa, Il Caro, Il Matto, is it the Fool, right? For a second I thought that was the Roman numeral 2, but it's not. But I don't know how much you can actually see from the cards. I did a video on it, so if you want to, you can check it out. This is that. Like, this is the star. I think it's the gnome. Tarot of the Gnomes. Yeah. And this is the tiniest version. Which I think is... Like, how cool is this place? And it's in perfect condition. So I have to be careful to not ruin any of them, because it's not replaceable. I was thinking about, like turning these into tiles or coating them with something, but then I was like, why? I don't need, it's not what I meant to do. It's not, I don't need to create a version of this deck that can be used more so than this one, because I don't need to use it. It can be just a cool tiny deck. And the last one is the Game of Thrones Tarot, and why I think it's cool, besides the way that it looks already, is because I think this was the first fandom deck that actually read really well. And why it was cool for me, because this is the first edition or first printing. I don't know if there was an edition difference, and I still managed to get the linen cardstock. And I know that some people said that the second one had better colors, or it wasn't ruining, so to speak, the imagery, but the cardstock was like awesome on the first one. And when I ordered this one, I fully expected to get the second version, because this was already like out and sold out everywhere. But for some reason, Book Depository had this deck laying somewhere in a warehouse, so I managed to get it. And like, it feels really cool to get the better, so to speak, version, poor Sansa, of a deck that, you know, I wasn't even expecting to get one. So yeah, and it reads really well. I actually really like to read with this deck. It works really well, and it worked really well with the House of Dragons TV show, which I will be doing readings again when the season starts and the next season comes out, because that was fun. And it was, you know, like, the tarot was on point on so many things. I still need to do a recap, but I think I'm gonna do it just before. Oh, look at that, the Lovers, before the new one comes out. So these are the 5 decks that I find to be cool. For number 4, we have 4 books that are either tarot related or, you know, like guidebooks or something like that. I tried not to go with too many guidebooks, but I had to include the Hidden Realms Journey into the Hidden Realm guidebook, because that's the deck that I'm still working with. So this is pretty much the guidebook that I'm reading, even though I didn't have that much time to read all of it that I wanted during the month. But it's a really nicely written guidebook. Sometimes I don't see the description in the cards as much as I should be able to see, but that's, you know, that's gonna be coming out in my 1 month with 1 deck video. But yeah, that's the one that I really like the guidebook, by the way. That's why I chose this, not just because this is the one I'm currently reading, but this is the one I'm currently reading. Then I think this was the one that I read what I'm about to say, but I'm not entirely sure, and I couldn't find it, you know, just by flipping through. I'm not gonna show you because, you know, it's Hungarian, so you don't, you're not gonna understand. But this is it's very Pratchett, but this is let me check, I never know. It's soul music, completely different, like Rolling Stone, the Hungarian title. Which makes sense regarding the story, but yeah, it's not soul music, it's Rolling Stone. But there is one, I think it was in this book, or if not, then the previous one, where someone goes into a bar and they're looking for death, and how they are trying to describe who are they looking for is that they are using the death card from a tarot deck, and, you know, they are showing that this is the person that I'm looking for. Which I find it so funny, and I think it was just so well thought out, that, you know, like a little joke, because obviously you're gonna look for that using the tarot card that in a bar. So this has some tarot in it, in a funny way. The next one is the Raven Boys. It's not a trilogy; it's like a full 4 books, whatever it's called, series. I pulled out the first one, and if you know the story, the creator also created the tarot deck, so that's already a connection to tarot. But in this story as well, there are people who are reading tarot regularly. So, and I'm so curious about the deck they are using in it. That's the deck that should have been like illustrated and brought to life. I mean, I love the prophecy of you know, like the Raven's Prophecy tarot as well, but I still want the deck used in the book to come alive as well. But and of course, I'm wholeheartedly recommending this one if you haven't read it. It's a wonderful book. And the last one is The Modern Guide to Witchcraft. I know it's not tarot per se, but there are tarot spreads in it, and it connects to tarot because, you know, like, witches use tarot as well. And what I really like is, I don't know if I can, you know, like, if you can see, but hopefully you can see it, that the the edge is not like cut, it's left in a way that you get paper like torn. I think it's just really cool. It's such a nice touch, like an old school thing. And I've seen one, like there was a tarot spread or spell. I've seen just one now. There was a spell, like a money spell, like a tarot money spell, which was like, okay, I was like, I'm gonna try that one. So there's a lot new, like a lot of really good like information. So if you're looking to dip your toe into witchcraft, I think this deck is really good. I was recommended, I mean, the book was recommended to me by Giselle, so, you know, I didn't just happen to like pick this one out of the blue. Giselle recommended it, and you know, she's much more knowledgeable about witchcraft, so obviously I picked it up and I didn't regret it. I still just, you know, like reading and not actually starting to practice a lot, but yeah, it's a great one. So those are the 4 books. The next one is 3 spreads I like to use, and I need a deck for it. Let's be shameless and still use mine. So the first one is the basic 3 cards spread. I know it's like everybody uses it, and you know, I can't help myself shuffling, but I do like to read it as in the problem. I mean, if you know, like if you think about the question, you have a question, you have a problem. What's the root of the issue? What's the root of the problem? And then the current position you find yourself in, what you can do in this case, you know, be more just with the situation and the people involved. And what's the tendencies of Knight of Pentacles, which is interesting, coming from the King of Pentacles and going with the Knight of Pentacles. But, you know, like that's a slow positive change. So I like I like using this one. I think this is my go-to. I like doing the big spreads, but sometimes I'm just like, this spread has everything that I need to do a basic reading. I love using multiple decks, of course, but this is one of the things that I like doing. The second one is also a simple one, and that's a yes or no question, because a lot of people ask yes or no questions, and I usually go with yes and no. Oh, King of Pentacles again. Okay, I didn't like, okay, let me just shuffle, because let's go, let's get different cards. So, you know, like, should I do this or should I do that? And then that's not a good option. Should I go out tonight? You know, people say they don't do readings on questions like that, but I'm like, why not? You can just practice and you can just have fun. The tarot deck might say something like, do, don't, but let's go with that question. Should I go out or should I stay home? I'm not going anywhere, by the way. This is the yes. Oh, the devil. And we have the Knight of Swords and the Page of Wands with the no. So I would say that we would have a hell of a good time if I would go out tonight, but I probably would end up doing something that I shouldn't. And if I don't, like if I, you know, like stay home, then I can actually be sure that I'm championing the right option, and I can just study something and start something more exciting that in the long term is good for me. So, you know, this is like a thing that I like to do. And the third spread is also something that I don't use it often, but when I do it, it's always fun. And how I do it is I separate the deck into the majors and then the 4 minors. And this is either getting guidance on a problem to see what's the main cause of the problem, and that's gonna be the problem. That's gonna be the major in the middle. So let me have, okay, one major is the moon. So the problem is that I'm not seeing clearly, that my fears are holding me back. And then when I have that, I can start pulling the minors and see like what's influencing the whatever this card is talking about, you know, like what's influencing emotionally the fear or the like not getting clear on things or the fear, you know. So, you know, like we have the Queen of Cups for that, and then that would mean that I'm not I would say I'm not like gentle enough with myself. I'm not showing emotional courtesy to myself. I'm not regulated emotionally. So, you know, I can be too emotional. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't see clearly, because my emotions are in the way. And then we can look at what hindering us in the realm of the source, aka the intelligence. Let me pick the first sword card that I can find. Where is a sword card? Okay. The Five of Swords, being selfish, which, yeah, it could be. Like you're only thinking about yourself. So obviously you can't see clearly if you don't see the big picture because you're too busy only thinking about yourself. But at the same time, this could be that you need to be more self-centered in a way, because, you know, it depending on the question. Because sometimes that's exactly what you need to do, to pull focus to yourself, and then you can see more clearly because you see what you want, what you need. And then what you can change in the realm of like the physical, like not necessarily just the money, but like how you spend your energy and your resources. And that's the Page of Pentacles, you know, like go back to the start, be more mindful, be more open to find new ways to spend your energy. And then we have the Wands and how to support that. Actually, you know, like find more times to that you can feel like you're celebrating with connecting people. And if you find more occasions to be happy, then you can like get out of this moon energy. So, you know, this is an elemental spread, if you want to say it, but it's I don't even know if I called it anything. I just like to pull to see how to attack a certain problem from all different realms, because sometimes I really enjoy like getting specific with cards. So, you know, I know that this is going to be a major and not a minor. Like I can only have like I will have everything on the table. You know, it's not going to be one of those readings when you miss something on the table, like there's no ones or there's only ones, because that's highlighting certain things as well. But in this one, I just like finding the balance and how to deal with a problem using everything that I have in my arsenal, so to speak. So I don't know, I hope this is useful. I mean, if you have something, I'm sure everyone has something similar, but this is a little spread that I like to do. Okay, that was 3. 2 is tarot habits that I do. And one of the tarot habits that I always do is I definitely have to shuffle back the cards when I finish a reading. Sometimes, I don't know why, I just put them on top of the existing pile, and it never feels good. I always think about it. I don't go as far as to, you know, pull out the deck again and put the cards back, just shuffle them back in, but it doesn't sit well with me when I forgot to do it. So that's definitely a habit that I picked up along the years when I started, you know, like reading. Other than that, I would say I don't like to read when it's not calm and collect. Like it's not calm. Like people are all busy everywhere. I do readings for other people's in public places because, you know, when I meet a friend and, you know, that's the only option because we're meeting and we're sitting down in a cafe or something, I have to do it that way. But if I can help it, it's always just to be in a space where it's calm and quiet, because I do think that, you know, reading tarot is not something that you can just go do when you're like multitasking. It's something that you have to focus on, because if you're not focusing on the question, or you're not focusing fully on what you're doing, then the cards are going to answer something that just crosses your mind and you don't even realize it, and then you're not going to understand what the card is talking about, because the cards are answering the questions you're, you know, like asking, but not necessarily the ones that you're saying out loud, or, you know, like focusing on, if your mind is all over the place. So I would say those two things. And the last one was an advice for or about tarot reading. The other option was to like pick a card that would represent me, but I already did that in the previous VR that I posted, so I'm gonna opt for the difficult one for the advice, because I don't think I'm in a position to give advice to anyone. But I would say my only advice would be actually is to read more to yourself than you think that you need to, because and use a card for use a deck for longer than, you know, just one reading and then pull out a different deck and do a reading with it again. Nothing wrong with that, but to get to know a deck and yourself as a reader, I think it's more helpful to stick to a certain deck, because you will realize if there's a connection between you and a certain card much more quickly if it shows up and it looks exactly the same, and, you know, it's not a different Queen of Pentacles, for example. Like how I built this connection to the Queen of Pentacles in the past year and a half or something like that, that now I know that if the Queen of Pentacles shows up in a reading, it's more likely to represent the divine, the universe, or whatever you believe in it. I, you know, call it the higher ups. That, you know, it's a presence that, hey, we're here, we're looking out for you, than the regular meaning of the Queen of Pentacles, because it just showed up in many readings, and I noticed it more easier because of the way that I picked my decks for this year, that I work with the deck for a month more extensively than I did before. So for me that helped, so maybe it helps you as well. But yeah, I think that's the only advice that I could give, because like there are much more knowledgeable people than I am, so obviously I'm not gonna start like giving advice. But yeah, okay, so yes, this was my response, not my VR, but it's a VR. But this was my response to Caliber. I'm sorry, I can't speak. This is like the 5th video that I'm filming today, so I'm losing the ability to speak. But yeah, if you joined, please do let me know. I will try to watch everything. I don't comment as much as on videos anymore these days, but I'm watching, which you don't know, because you know, it sucks that you don't see anymore who clicks like on your videos. I understand that they remove the option to see who clicks dislike on your video, because there's no need to, you know, start beefs or arguments about it. But it would be nice to have the option back where you can actually see when someone liked your video, because not because I want to know who liked mine, but because I liked the option to like the video and let the creator know that, hey, I was here, I watched it. I just don't have either time to comment or option to comment, or I don't have really much to say, but I watched it, I liked it, and, you know, I want to let you know, but that option is gone. But yeah, what I want to say is that I'm still watching. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.